Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I hope everybody's out there enjoying the weather. It's gotten a little sunnier in my part of the woods in sunny Ohio. Well, it's been raining and snowing and it's just been a little crazy here. So I'm kind of glad the sun is peeking out from underneath the clouds. I'm very excited to have Lynn Lindberg, founder of Couch to Active, on the program today. For all you couch potatoes that want to be what? Warriors, workout warriors, this is for you. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Lynn. What if staying motivated to exercise consistently had little to do with self-discipline or grit? Lynn Lindberg, founder of Couch to Active, is on a mission to bring a light to the missing link between wanting to exercise consistently and actually getting it done. For decades, we have been telling ourselves to just do it, have more discipline and more grit. Yes, 80% of adults still aren't getting the exercise they need. It's really no surprise because, after all, how does dreading your workout motivate you? Known to her clients as the bad coach guru. Let me say that again. Known to her clients as the bad coach guru, Lynn's program, Couch to Active, made its debut in 2017 and sets a roadmap for real transformation in people's lives. Her new book, Couch to Active, is scheduled to release this summer 2018, which is not too far away. Lynn understands the corporate professional struggling to exercise consistently on a deep and personal level. She spent almost 20 years as a senior management consultant in high-performing desk jobs for corporations including Microsoft, T-Mobile, Praxair, AOL, and Philips Healthcare. Boeing. She understands the struggle is real, and she paves a path for her clients to make a fitness breakthrough without having to rely solely on self-discipline or grit. Without having to rely solely on self-discipline or grit, you guys. I don't know how many times I have heard you guys say to me, if I just had the willpower to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Linda, I am going to come to your classes every morning at 5 a.m. and I am going to get myself out of that bed and I'm going to work out with you because I got to get this under control. I'll see you on Monday. Monday rolls. You might show up on Monday. Wednesday rolls. You showed up Wednesday, then Friday, and then you just start to fall off. So it's this vicious cycle, and Lynn Lindberg is going to help us today to figure out how to go from the couch, watching your favorite TV show, to running races. Welcome, Lynn, to the show. Oh, no.
Oh.
There you go. There you are.
Yay, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Yes, Couch to Active. It's a pleasure. And you, Linda, have been all over the place since we met a year ago in July. I just remember Linda and we met at the Idea Fit Blog Fest, met really briefly. And with Couch to Active, I was there to look at all these fitness programs and gadgets and demystify it for all of us. And here's Linda, this woman who, like, gorgeous, beautiful, had it all together. And I thought, what an amazing woman in her 30s. And you just look so great, Linda. I had no idea. And so I'm happy to be here today to talk a little bit about the story of Couch to Active and how we can get that missing link between really wanting to do your sweat project and actually doing it. So thank you, Linda. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for that really nice compliment that you threw my way. 30s.
You didn't even pay me for that. So
I should.
Mhm.
Well, I want to just add, well, I thought it was a very interesting fact as I was researching Lynn for the podcast today that her husband is a descendant of Charles Lindbergh. And for those of you that don't know who Charles Lindbergh is, I'm going to let Lynn fill us in on the background of the connection between Charles Lindbergh and her husband.
Yeah, okay. I tried to keep it a secret, and Linda said, "Nope, we're going to out you." So, yeah. So no, my husband's one of the grandchildren of Charles Lindbergh, and he's the man who retraced grandfather's flight from New York to Paris in a single-engine plane. And currently, he runs Vertigo Aero. He's the president of that company, which is one of the manufacturers for the vehicles for Uber Elevate, so your air taxi. So yeah, a lot going on in the house with two startups and completely different realms in business. It makes dinner talk very interesting, to say the least.
I bet. I mean, he's in the same business as his,
Yep, very similar, very, very similar. So, yep, and he's at headquarters this week. So I'm looking forward to having him back home tonight. So if you're listening, baby, hey
to the hubs. Well, you're gonna get us to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take off.
Yes.
From the couch. We can use that 5-second rule.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what you did before Couch to Active and how you got the idea to create this company, and if you've got some major backstory on this.
Sure. And yeah, because that's one of the interesting things about now being essentially in the fitness industry is a lot of times folks will assume I was always in fitness, which wasn't the case at all. I was one of those kids back in the day when we went to college, right? It was before the internet just barely even existed. And I worked too hard and I wasn't athletic and I didn't work out. And by the time I graduated college, I would try to jog to the mailbox and I would get winded. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this just isn't good. But that went straight to, you graduate and then you get your corporate job. And I spent almost 20 years in corporate desk jobs, and 10 years of it, I was a single mom with a long commute. So I was suited up out the door with my kid, 7 a.m. every day. And I just knew in my head, I knew exercise was important for me. I knew this needed to happen. I knew my health depended on it, but I couldn't figure out how to do it in a way that I loved. And the idea of forcing myself every day for an hour to go and do a bunch of stuff that I hate was like, no, I want to love my life. I don't want to spend an hour every day doing something I hate, And so it wasn't sustainable for me. And I was insatiably curious about, is this a nut we can even crack for people who are spending all day in desks and know this is important? They know they need the sweat project. They know it'll be good for them. And so I would end up spending my days in my desk doing corporate training. So my background and degree is education and training and how people learn. And then
Which is perfect for what you're doing now.
Exactly. And then I spent my evenings gathering all kinds of fitness certifications, and I would teach on weekends and evenings. And then after, years and years of this, I was out for a walk one day and I had this aha. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Couch to Active. I've got it. I've figured this out. So I've got to get this message out to the world. And so funny how the universe works is I went in, got the business, license and started trademarking and all that. And 3 weeks later, my entire corporate department was let go. And
oh my goodness.
How interesting, right? That the universe would come and say, okay, Lynn, this is what you're going to do now,
Yeah.
So that's where it came from. And now it's a full program to get people from as that life transformation as quickly as possible, and in a way that you still love your life. You're empowered to do what you love to do, so you're more likely to stick to it. And in a way that we teach how to recover from setbacks. So if you have, life happens, right? And we got to know, we need the skills to deal with life when life happens. So that's essentially in a nutshell, the backstory there. And here I am today.
Well, what is your advice for somebody just getting started that has been really wanting, or possibly they have been wanting to do this and doing back and forth forever, like getting started, stopping, getting started, stopping? What is your solution for them?
Some key pieces. Sign up for the Couch to Active program. No. Well, if right now, because I know if you're listening to this podcast, you want to walk away with some nuggets today. And first and foremost, I would say is, if you're frustrated, if you're saying, I need to do this, it just doesn't keep happening, have compassion for yourself and just do your best to relax through it and say, I'm going to figure this out. I don't have it all figured out today, and that's okay. And then the next piece is, if you are massively frustrated and you just are like, I just have this and this and this going on in my life and this and this, I hear you. I get you. I had that too. 10 years, single mom, long commute, dealing with clients. I mean, those mornings where literally I'm in my suit. It's 6:45 a.m. I'm getting my toddler, and then he's 14 now. So getting my toddler to the car for work, and he pukes all over the floor, right? But you still got to get to work anyway. I hear you. I get it. So if you're massively frustrated, know that means you haven't given up. And when you realize you haven't given up, there's this whole sense of just, this is great. I haven't given up. And then after that, you can really start working through. My third piece would just be identify what you love to do. And let me take a minute here and pause and back up a little bit. And I'll give you a piece of what I teach my clients in the program. Is I have them memorize this phrase, and it's a bit of an eye roll. It'll make you chuckle a little bit, but it's gold. And I say, memorize this phrase: my body needs exercise. My body will always need exercise. This is not negotiable. It'll never change. It's science. And the cool thing about it is, we know this, right? We know we need exercise. This is not, a big revelation. But when we really soak it in for ourselves, then we're more empowered to actually take action on it and not feel like it's something selfish or feel like it's something that, we're doing and sacrificing, time with our kids or our spouses. And it helps us release the guilt around all of that. So there's a few of the key takeaways there.
That was great. That was great. Yeah, for anybody listening out there, I'm sure that gives them something to start with. What are your 5 biggest tips for somebody that is starting on a plan to keep going?
5 biggest tips? Is that what you said? 5 biggest tips? Yeah. So I would say first and foremost, that piece of just realizing exercise is not negotiable, and really believe that for yourself. And then one thing that you want to look at is your relationships and the friends around you, and how to empower them to support you. And so here's a story from my own life. We all know when you have a friend to work out with, it's easier, right? I mean, we know that. We already know that. So we take that in the program and we unpack that and really look at it in more detail. So I have a friend in my life where I can text her and say, walk around the lake, 4 p.m. And she knows exactly what that means. She can say yes or no, boom, we're off for a walk. Now, would we say that that's a successful friendship for fitness? Yeah. Three words, I can get there. But let's take that, put it aside for a minute. And then in the program, we say, when you're looking at friends for fitness and friends to do things with, don't make the success of that relationship dependent on being perfectly consistent. Because so many of the time, we get these ideas, we think, oh, on Monday, I'm going to have my swimming friend and we'll swim every Monday. And on Wednesday, I'll have my lifting friend and we'll lift every Wednesday. And then Monday comes and your friend texts you and she bails on you, right? And then the next
you can't depend on somebody else. I don't think you have to depend on yourself. Like, because if you're always depending on a workout partner, they may not always be meeting you.
Exactly. And then, so the piece of it too is, if they aren't always meeting you, you go anyway, but you don't give up reaching out to them, and you don't give up on that.
Right. You still want your workout partner, but you have to realize, are you going to let your health depend on whether somebody else is showing up?
Yeah. Nope. Absolutely not.
This is a main thing that I see a lot, because women like to do things together.
Mm-hmm. They do. And this friend of mine that I can text those 3 words to, we meet twice a year at best. But if I have a whole handful of those friends that are just onesie twosie here's all together, I mean, that could end up being 3 weeks of exercise in a year. I mean, it's cumulative. So we help see that big picture of how this works in your life and how it's a whole bunch of pieces that come together, not just one thing I do on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, boom, So that's a big key piece that I would encourage people with.
And so you have a program, Couch to Active. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that, how a person could get signed up, what you're going to lead them through.
Sure. So the Couch to Active program is for somebody who says they're at a point in their life, and usually you've had something happen. You have a health diagnosis or not, or a parent who's died, or something's happened where you realize, okay, I have to do this and I need this new lifestyle. That's who we're targeting. And especially for folks who are busy corporate professionals, because that's where I come from. So I get it. I have a bleeding heart for you. If you're stuck in a desk, I hear you. I've got my sit-stand desk, my treadmill. I hear you. And so what it is it's an 8-week program that only takes about 90 minutes of your time a week, plus exercise, right? And at the end of that 8 weeks, you have the tools you need to create your active lifestyle and maintain it for a lifetime. So if that resonates with you and you say, I want to learn more about it, you just head over to couchtoactive.com and you'll be fed through pretty quickly to a place where you can sign up for some time with me, and we can talk a little more about if this program makes sense for you. Yeah.
Now, this next question will be interesting, because I rely a lot on grit.
Yes.
Okay. And also just that it's not going to be perfect every day when you are busy, but I am going to get it in. So yesterday, I was going to the business boutique, and I knew I had to drive to Louisville, which would make getting up early because I had to be there by 8:30. And so we live a few hours away. And I thought about getting up really early and working out before. And I was like, well, I've worked out a lot. I could even take an off day. So I was kind of thinking, what am I going to do for my exercise? And so I got up and I turned the lights on and this is also kind of funny because I just heard this from Christine Northrup about empaths, how they walk into a room and the lights kind of dim or flicker. You know, all this stuff with the lights, like you're supposedly, I guess, kind of magnetic, the electricity, you know, and
great.
So I had just read this, and twice now I've walked in a closet and the light bulbs kind of dimmed, and I walked in the bathroom, the light bulbs flickered, and then I freaking walked into the bathroom and I turned the light switch and all the lights went out.
Oh my gosh.
They started to come on and then they all went out.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, wait a minute, what are the chances?
What does it mean? What does it mean?
I'm like, this is a little much now. My husband's like, honey, the electricity just went out.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, getting ready in the dark with like trying to put makeup on, trying to dry my hair. I mean, like, you can't dry your hair. Taking a shower by cell phone light.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Anyway.
And thinking of the workout. And thinking about how you're going to exercise. Yeah.
The story even gets worse. I literally was like, oh my God, I cannot show up at the business boutique where I'm going to ask these people to be on my podcast looking like a drowned rat. So I had my blow dryer with me. My husband's like, oh, you can plug it in the car. Because we have like so I plugged it in, Circuit Blue. So we're driving along and he says, let's stop to Kroger's. We're going to get some Starbucks. We're going to go in and get a coffee. And I'm like, I'll see you in a minute. I went straight to the bathroom. I'm drying my hair in Kroger, you know, and some lady comes in. She's like, I'm like, well, you know, the electricity went out. That's why you can't open the doors at Kroger's. You have to push the doors open.
Yep, exactly.
You had to push them open to get, they were on a generator. Anyway, I was done with my hair before my husband got his coffee and snacks.
Nice.
And so we made it. We got there. The people I wanted to come on the podcast didn't say, no, you look horrible. We're
sure. No, it sounds like you did great.
We're gonna come on the podcast. And then we got home. We got home, and I got on the treadmill, and I did my workout. It didn't work out perfectly that day. It was just a freak of nature or being an empath. I don't know which. But anyway, I literally got my workout in and I watched a movie. Now, I think it's really important that you're enjoying your workout time. I'm not saying that every time it's not always going to be enjoyable. You do have to push through. But why do we not solely have to rely on grit?
That's it. Yeah, that's great, Linda. And I love your story because that's that perfect example of, I mean, life happens, right? And we have this idea of what we want to do for exercise and what we aspire to do. And, you know, the electricity goes out and you're blow drying your hair in the grocery store. You know? Like, okay.
That's a first.
Yeah. And then when those times come, it's really easy to say, you know, God, it's just been a tough day and maybe I don't need to work. I'll work out tomorrow. I'll do a bigger workout tomorrow. I mean, I know the stories, right? And so grit sometimes absolutely will get you through those. And we all need grit to thrive, survive, and succeed in life. And there are so many times in life we already are using grit. And yes, grit and just do it, it gets us to our workouts a lot of the time. What Couch to Active program does is it says, okay, there's only so much grit we can use in our life in a day. And the more I can have a life I just love and enjoy, and the more I can create that, and the less I have to use grit to push through, the better. Because if we think about, you know, what is grit? Grit is like, here's my thing and that I maybe don't want to do right now, but I'm going to use grit to push through what I don't want to do because I see a light at the end of the tunnel. And what we do in the Couch to Active program is we help orchestrate your life in a way so that exercise is more about a lifestyle you enjoy and love So you don't have to rely solely on grit to get you through every workout. Because I tell you, if I think so many people I see just have it in their head of, I must go fit in this box and do this workout this expert said, because that's going to put me in my bikini, and then you're just miserable doing stuff you hate because somebody told you that's what you needed to do. When people realize they can have the freedom to get massively creative and do what they love, and when they begin to realize your body doesn't know the difference between running on a treadmill and running away from, a tiger, right? And so when you get that of the body and its movement, then you're just so much more free to really do what you love. And then it requires less grit. And
what if you love sitting on the couch? I'm just saying.
Yeah. So that's why, you're absolutely right. So that's why we start with like lesson number 1. My body needs exercise. This is not negotiable. It's science. And memorize that. Put it on your mirror. Say it every day. You're right. Because you're right. If you don't believe you even need exercise in the first place, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Or you need it, but you'd rather just sit on the couch and watch your favorite show and snack. I mean, that's a reality sometimes,
It's easy it is. And that's actually part of what I do is I work with people and I say, why do you want to exercise? Let's get in touch with that. And I see this go 2 different ways. One is that, platitude, noble, I want to exercise so I'll be healthy, so I will be, more fit when I'm older, so I'll be there for my grandchildren. Okay, great.
It's not enough to motivate you.
No. And sometimes those whys get dark really fast. And I've listened to enough of your podcast, Linda, to know you're not afraid of anything. So it's all good here. So sometimes the whys get dark. It's why do you want to exercise? So I can be in great shape. Well, why that? So I can look good. Well, why that? So my husband can be proud of me. Well, why that? Because I'm afraid he'll leave me if I don't. Like it can get dark really fast.
It's always what now? Well,
is
and what then? And what? Yeah.
And what then? And so we really encourage clients in the program to really tether out and not be afraid. There are no wrong answers when you go through that. The only wrong answer is ignoring what's there for you, because it's there anyway, whether you want to look at it or not. So we dive deep.
I would also suggest, if they are wanting to sit on the couch and snack and just watch TV, possibly they're not doing enough other things in their life that they're truly enjoying, and they're not getting enough rest. And that's why they have to have that vegging time. I think you have to incorporate things that you do truly love to do into your life. And I know it's hard to fit it all in, but you have to time block, you have to schedule yourself on that list.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is very, very true. And we have that whole other population of people who, when they hear couch to active, they say, couch to active? I'm too busy. I'm never even on the couch. What are you talking about? And so it's both of those groups of how to tether out that to make an active lifestyle something that's sustainable.
And you may get an argument or two from people that say they're so active, or that they're doing housework, or they're doing yard work, or they're doing all these activities, but it really doesn't give you the same benefits of doing regular exercise.
Exactly. And we look at the CDC guidelines, we look at some recent heart health research, and we tether out, okay, what are you doing? And how does this benchmark against the Centers for Disease Control minimums? How does this benchmark against the recent heart health research? And so, and what are your goals? And how is this matching up with your goals? Yeah, there's a lot there. So,
and it's not going to give you the same benefits unless you want to do 1,000 squats with your broom. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, like, you're not going to get the results, the same kind of results you would get from a planned out workout program. And I do agree, you should pick something that you don't completely dread. But I would also like to say that if you work out regularly, the dread will start to disappear because you're going to start to get in shape. And you're going to like it. You're going to like it. Yeah. Believe me, these people, they're like in love with their bodies after they do the sweat project. They're like getting in clothes they haven't worn for like since they were 28 years old, and they're 52 now. And so it's all relative. And so she says, don't rely solely on grit. But I'm going to say, I think it does take some grit to get you through. If you really have goals and there's things that you really want to achieve, you do have to have a little bit of grit just to get that push over the hill to the other side.
And that's part of what we talk about is we have a whole lesson on called Try It All. And we just talk through and really brainstorm what are all the different ways you can get there, and all the different, types of exercise programs or types of programs, and finding the one that you love so you can get there. And you're right, it does require some grit, especially if you have a very specific goal. I want to run a marathon. I want to run a 5K. Those quickly, box you into some exercise you have to do. You can't just be doing squats with your broom, of course.
Well, I mean, it depends, on what your goals are.
Yeah.
I mean, no goal is good or bad. So it just depends on what it is you're trying to achieve. Yeah. So the reality is, if your goal is that you want to feel good in your skin, you may have to get a little uncomfortable first and just recognize that it will suck at first, but everybody has to be a beginner at some point. So, give yourself permission to suck until you don't, like my book says.
Well, and stay open-minded about what you think you like and don't like with fitness, because that'll change. The more fit you become, the more easy it is to do other things. So
I know exercise and motivation. People, it seems like they have it for periods of time. And what really seems to throw them off a lot, which I've noticed because I own a studio, the Chick Fit Studio, is family vacations, holidays, birthdays, special events. These things, I think you could kind of plan how you're going to get through that. What is your advice for people to stay motivated when there is a holiday and a special occasion?
You're exactly right. It really is all about that planning. And, to tell a story from my own life, we could take Thanksgiving, for example. A few years ago, what I do for holidays, vacations, long flights, things that are coming will just throw a monkey wrench in your day, is I look at it and I say, okay, this is the day I have coming up. It looks a little different. So what exercise am I going to do today? And which one will be the best at meeting my goals or giving myself some freedom to doing what I love? And so one year I said, okay, this Thanksgiving, I'm going to do a turkey trot. And I call it the year of the turducken. We had somebody who brought one of those turkey, duck, chicken things for Thanksgiving. So I was all proud of myself. I signed up for this turkey trot. I have asthma, so for me, running is kind of a big deal. And I got up, it was dark, nobody was up yet. It was cold, it was raining sideways, it was miserable. And I had this crazy idea. I was going to bike to the event, run, and then bike.
I love it.
I I did it all. I got home and yes, I was really proud of myself.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Oh, well, thanks. And it felt good and the exercise felt good. And I might do that again another year, but I was miserable. I hated it. I was like, oh, I don't like this. So the next year, same process. Here's my holiday. What am I going to do? And I decide, and I was hosting. So that's, big ask, exercise and host, the biggest eating day of the year, right? And so I decided that my non-negotiable was at some point in the day, I was going to go get a good walk in. And as guests came, I told people, said, hey, at some point I'm going to go for a walk. And we don't do this right. I'm better than you because I'm exercising, right? No. None of that. And the day, of course, got crazy busy. And I realized at the end of it, as people were leaving, I was going to walk alone. But I had decided, like we said earlier, I wasn't going to make my success dependent on other people. So I was okay with that. And then as some of the last folks left, one of my friends said, hey, Lynn, are you going to still do that walk? And I said, well, yeah. So she joined me and two other people joined me. And it ended up being a magical night. It was,
the
moon was out, the stars were out. It was a wonderful time. The next day, they texted me. They said, hey, that was so awesome. So here's where it gets interesting. That was something we loved and my friends loved. Next year, they're probably going to hope that we do this again, and we probably will. And then the third year, this is where lifestyle transformation comes in. The third year, those same people are going to come expecting to do this. So now it's no more grit, no more self-discipline. That ship has sailed. It's happening. And so the more we can do that in our lives, and I know you can't, get completely fit just on walks. So that was just one example. We know that. But the more we can do that kind of a thing in our lives, the better. So.
Well, I'd also like to suggest that it's not that I'm not afraid of anything. I just do it scared. Right? When you're afraid. So like fear is something you build up largely in your mind. I remember before I did my trifecta for the Spartan, I remember I love things that challenge me, and I wanted to do this race. But I made the mistake of going on the internet and watching the videos. Oh my gosh. I was having almost nightmares about it after I had signed up. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I should back out. This looks scary. And was building it up larger in my mind. Not that it isn't a challenge. It definitely is. But it was doable because all you have to do is one obstacle at a time.
Great.
And nobody's going to stand over you like you must do this obstacle. Yeah. I mean, there were people on the race. If you want to have some help, that will help you. And you could skirt around, and not do the obstacle if it scares you to death, or do 30 burpees. I know that sounds like a fate worse than death, but I'm really good at burpees. So I thought, well, heck, because I do a lot of them in boot camp. So I thought, heck, I'll just do burpees if I can't do an obstacle. But then you start realizing, 30 burpees versus doing that. How big is that? Because, it all adds up. Running, my first race, I did the Beast, which was a 14.5 miler with like over 32 obstacles.
Awesome. Woo.
But then everything after that in comparison was so easy. But I would just say, if you're not thinking you ever want to do anything like that, just whatever you've built up in your mind is always way scarier, really, than the actual thing. Absolutely. And, just push past that fear, because really, really what you want really is on the other side of that. If you feel insecure about going to the gym, or you think people are going to be watching you. I don't know, whatever you've built up in your mind is always way worse. So I would just encourage you that fear is a liar, unless, you think that guy looks like a mugger, and maybe he is. I'm just saying, like, fear can be real, but most of the time it's something that we've built up in our minds.
It really is. And to push through that. And one of the things we actually teach is to really push through your stereotypes you have about who does what kind of fitness, and breaking through, I think a lot of people have different stereotypes in their mind of, oh, I couldn't do a spin class because that's, the hardcore people do spin, or I can't do CrossFit because that's all the real muscle bound, they're the ones who, and it's like, no. This is accessible to all of us. You can do this.
Well, there's also, don't compare your first rep to somebody's 100th rep.
Yes.
So the other aspect is maybe they are like amazing CrossFitters, but maybe if you got in and you became a regular, you would then be the amazing CrossFitter. Exactly. And I see this happen a lot in my boot camp where now my beginners are my experts, and I'm like, hey, Kathy, would you like to teach a class for me while I'm gone on vacation? I'm just saying, like, these are people that started out as beginners and now they are the experts. So you just have to give yourself that learning curve and that progression and know you can do it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And Linda, that's part of what I love about what I've seen that you do is you are probably one of the most empowering, positive, encouraging. You really are so good at helping people realize they can do it, it's a message we need. It's a message we need badly out there. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. That is exactly what I'm trying to achieve. So it's good to hear that it's working.
It's coming through.
What would you summarize your entire program into, if you were going to summarize your program into one nugget? What would that be?
Okay. So this is an interesting one because it has nothing to do with fitness, but for clients, people who have been away from exercise for years, I found that a lot of times, and this was true for my life too, as I worked through this process, is when I realized that I was worthy of this. I'm worthy of an active lifestyle. I'm worthy to be fit. I'm worthy to be healthy. When I actually didn't just know that in my head, but I knew it in my heart, that's when magic started happening, because that was when I felt empowered to take those steps, to become that active person, to be brave, to try those new things, because I believed I was worth it. And so I think that is really where it all begins for the individual who's been away from this for so many years and doesn't know where to start. Yeah.
Well, I have to say that it's so true. Is just, you're not going to invest in yourself if you don't think you're worth it. Mm-hmm. And, the biggest way to get a big return is to invest in yourself. I just spoke to Paul Brunson on my last podcast, and it was all about how millionaires and billionaires invest like a third of their time in themselves. Like they are constantly, even though they have all this money, they're still learning, they're still investing, they're still growing, they're still, putting into themselves, and you will reap the benefits. I have lost Len. She has disappeared.
I am so sorry. This is a great example of sometimes when life happens, you just have to roll with it. And so we had some technical issues and I was about to lose my battery. So I just plugged us back in. So, yep. I'm here.
I hear you. But we're talking about what I think is one of the most important things for anybody out there listening to get today, that you are worth investing in.
Yes.
No matter what somebody has told you in the past or what negative voices you've heard, you are absolutely worth investing in yourself. And it will pay dividends every time.
Yeah.
So whatever you've got to do to make that happen for yourself, just remember you're going to get a good payoff in the end.
Absolutely. And I know sometimes, folks who just aren't there yet, and they're saying, that all sounds good and great. And I know everybody's saying, worthy and I'm enough and be brave. I mean, everybody's saying that. I get it.
And my mug today is from the Business Boutique. Let's all be brave. It's my favorite new mug. You may see it again.
I love it. So if you're there and you're listening and saying, okay, enough already, I'm hearing this from everybody and you're just not there, then my message to you is it's okay. It's okay if you're not sure what this next step is, and it's okay if you're not there. Just trust, keep taking one step at a time as you can, and trust you'll get there. And I say that coming from a place in myself where I had what I call my dirty 30s, where on the scale of stressors, Linda, they say there's a scale that says if you hit 100 is really high stress and you should probably be getting help. I had about 3 years where I maintained a stress level indicator of about 500. It was ridiculous. I mean, I went to 7 funerals of close family members, all kinds of things happen. And so I bring that up to say, I get it. There was a time in my life then when I just didn't have it in me. I knew in my head that I could get there, but in my heart, I was struggling with, am I ever going to feel joy again? Am I ever going to be happy again? And I knew in my head I could get there, but in my heart, I just wasn't there. And I didn't know if it would ever be genuine for me again. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you are feeling similar or resonates, just know it's okay. Today, you can just breathe. And tomorrow, we'll take the next step and we'll get there. It'll be okay. I go deep, Linda. I go deep. It's how I'm wired.
Hey.
Yeah.
So this is, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. I hear what you're saying, and I think sometimes you can't see yourself actually getting there and you're stuck in overwhelm.
Yeah.
But I will say to you that one of the best ways to get unstuck is to get moving.
Yeah. Yep.
Just get moving, and all these things will start coming into clarity for you, and you'll feel better, and then you'll do better.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Great.
Well, I've so enjoyed having you today on the podcast, and I'm very excited for the launch of your book. I think that it's going to be a great tool for people, a great resource for people to really get some movement and get some action going in their life. Where can people reach you on social media?
Social media is Couch to Active. So just under Facebook is the best one, Couch to Active. Or you can go to my website, Couch to Active. It's couchtoactive.com, and that'll get you rolling. And if you're not on my mailing list, get on it, because there's some great resources, and I don't like you too, Linda. We don't spam people with stuff, but we just send some just great resources as they come along.
Yeah. I don't like it when I get that either. So I don't want to do it to people.
Yep.
And then my question I always like to ask, what are 3 simple truths you can leave with the audience? They can be funny or serious.
3 simple truths off the top of my head. All right. I think the first one, give yourself compassion. While you're digging through, while you're figuring this out, give yourself compassion. And then with that, use that compassion, number 2, to allow yourself to have more fun in life. Get in touch with just that childlike fun. What brings your heart joy? What makes you laugh? And if you're stuck in a pit, go to Pandora and go to the comedy station on Pandora. That'll at least get you smiling, even if it's not coming from you, you know? And then the third one, I would say, go for a walk. Go outside and go for a walk with no music, no tunes. Look up, breathe, and just see what comes to you. Because that's where my biggest revelations have always come for me, is out on a walk, just letting my mind wander.
I love that. I love that. Now, I will tell you, fun can come when you've taken a fun away for a while, and then the least becomes the funnest. I mean, like, you guys probably, I don't know, I'll eat bread, but I can't tell you the last time I had any.
Great.
And we just happened to just stop when we were in Boston. I'm like, they were wanting to go to this place, that place, but we won't have enough time. And I was like, let's just enjoy the journey. I said, this restaurant looks really cool. Let's stop in here. And it was Limoncello in Boston. And the guy taught us how to authentic. We had the real olives. I mean, these are the real olives. The real olive oil, not laced with canola, let me tell you. And the red pepper and the Parmesan cheese. And he said, no, you've got to do it like this. And he poured the plate full of oil and red pepper, Parmesan cheese. And you dip the bread in it. And that was my favorite part of the meal. I was like, oh, this is so good. This would be a last meal request for me. This meal was so amazing.
Oh, wow.
And I ate mostly healthy, except I think the bread was, because it's white bread. I'm not a big fan of the white flour, but I think it was healthy for me that day. And I was just like, this is so good. I mean, this is so fun.
Yeah.
It was so delicious, and it was a treat. And I did the 2-bite rule on the tiramisu.
Good for you.
But I'm just saying, like, because I don't always partake in that, it was like, oh my God, this is the best meal I've ever had.
Which made it even more fun for you.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
Yeah. So finding that fun and enjoying it and make, like, to me, that was a treat. So you just got to find ways to treat yourself that don't take away from your health.
Yes, that don't take away from your health.
Yeah.
Big caveat.
Let me just put that in there.
Great.
But it's not going to kill you once in a while to have a something you want to eat, of course.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, this has been fun. It's great to see you and chat for a little bit.
Yeah. And thanks everybody out there for listening. Please review us on iTunes and let Lynn know how much you enjoyed having her on the podcast. Reach out to her if the things she said resonated with you, and I'm sure she'll be right there for you.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.